Do you want to create cool and inspiring events at AdAmerica? Easy. You can go to our website at www.adamerica.or.id. If you've clicked it, then choose Create an Event, then click Collaborate with Us, fill the form, upload your documents if needed, then click Submit. Still confused? Then you can download a proposal example as your guide. After you have submitted your proposal will be going through a review process by our team. And why are you still here? Go to our page now and send your creative ideas to us. We'll be waiting for you.
Hi everyone, I'm Fina, one of the advisors for EducationUSA here in AdAmerica, who is ready to help you with your study plan in the United States. We can help you with many things, and here are some of the services that we provide for you guys. And how can you get access to any of this? Very easy. Simply email us to jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. We look forward to it.
What you need to know about Education USA at America. Fact number 1. Education USA is a U.S. Department of State network of over 430 international students advising centers in more than 175 countries and territories.
Pada Ramadan tahun ini, masyarakat di seluruh dunia, termasuk warga Amerika dan Indonesia, sedang bekerja, belajar dan beribadah dari rumah. Meskipun kita berjauhan secara fisik, semangat kita tetap bersama dalam menjadikan bulan suci Ramadan sebagai momen untuk refleksi diri dan peduli dengan sesama. Saya Heather Variava, Kuasa Usaha Ed Interim Kedubes AS, mengucapkan selamat menunaikan ibadah puasa.
Hello, good evening everyone, and welcome to AdAmerica TV. My name is Jasmine. I'm one of the e-guides at AdAmerica, and we would like to welcome all of our audience members joining us online tonight. We hope you all are doing well and staying safe. AdAmerica is the U.S. Embassy's American Center, and our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn more about the United States. We have temporarily moved to a solely digital platform so you can enjoy all of our events in the comfort of your own home. So for those of you joining us tonight, don't forget to use the comment box section for those of you who have questions, and our panelists will answer them throughout the event. So tonight, we will be discussing scholarship opportunities to study in the United States. But before we begin, as usual, I would like to break the ice with a little game. So, true or false, all Fulbright programs worldwide are suspended due to COVID-19. One more time, I repeat, is it true or false? All Fulbright programs worldwide are suspended due to COVID-19. Stay tuned until the end of the program, and we will give live shout-outs for those of you who answered the question correctly. And other than that, don't forget to take a selfie and tag AdAmerica's Instagram account so everyone can know that you're having a great time tonight. All right, without further ado, I would like to invite our moderator for tonight. Please give a warm welcome for Santika Salim, one of our Education USA advisors at AdAmerica. Hi, Santika.
Hi, Jasmine. Thank you so
How are you
much.
tonight?
I'm good.
All right, take it away.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So today we have a very kind of like hot topic. A lot of advisee coming in and asking us about scholarship opportunities. So Vina and I think, why not we make like one session to talk about it exclusively. So as you know, Vina and I are located in Education USA at America, but we are currently going digital, so everything is online. So events and info session like this is held via Zoom. And for those of you who are watching in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and other platform, hi. Thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions, just drop them in the comment box. And if you're in Zoom, you can drop it in the chat box. Fina will be there to communicate with you. And I want to let you know that we also do one-on-one advising. If you've been to Education USA at America before and you meet one of us for advising, and you wonder what happened to advising sessions since we are going digital, right? So we still do that. Fina and I are on standby every day. Still the same. So at America never closed. So in exchange to that, we are on standby every day from 1 until 9 p.m. the same hours as at America. So we are on standby on Zoom meeting. I will give the Zoom ID if you are interested to do one-on-one meeting with us. Fina will also provide that in the chat box, so don't worry about it. And I really am excited to start, and I hope this will be very useful to all of you who are trying to find more opportunities to study in the United States, with funding. And even if you are accepted or you are still looking for the university, I think this will be helpful if you are looking for any funding options. So without further ado, I will introduce all of you to Fina, my coworker in Education USA at America. Hi, Fina.
Hi, Santika. How are you doing?
Good. So I'm very excited to start. But before that, I know
here.
Things to say.
Yeah, we're gonna do a little bit of introduction about Education USA, just in case this is your first time. But again, I would like to say hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining in. Those of you who are watching us from Zoom, we have people keep coming in, so that's really exciting. But we are also on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So for those of you who are watching from that platform, you can still ask us any questions. You can leave it on the chat or on the comment box, and then we already have our team to copy the question, so later on Santika and I can answer it. So I would like to give a little bit of an introduction. I have a few slides here. If we can have it up, if you can show it. We're going to share screen. All right, so just in case you start wondering, what is Education USA? Who are these people and what do we do? So Education USA, we are part of the US State Department atau Kementerian Luar Negerinya Amerika Serikat. We have over 400 international students in more than 170 countries. So we are pretty much all over the world. And what we do is we assist everyone who wants to study higher education. So higher education is bachelor's, master's, and PhD, S1, S2, S3. We assist them every step of the way, and all of our services are free of charge. I know it sounds too good to be true, but I can assure you it's so true. So we give you accurate and unbiased information about everything that you guys need to know about studying in the US. And if this is not your first time, since we are going digital, Santika and I, we have practically covered a lot of topics, including, inviting incoming students. We are, soon also going to invite some alumni and another incoming student, because we actually received already, more than 50 people got accepted for fall 2020 alone. And that number is coming up. It keeps coming in. And so we're going to invite them to basically share with us. And so can we go to the next slide? I would like to show you the kind of services that we provide. You can go to the next slides. Okay, so in Indonesia, of course, not only with us, Education USA at America, but we actually have a lot. We have 8 centers with 10 advisors. So I'm going to break down a little bit. So in Jakarta, we have 2 Education USA, one at the US Embassy with David and Iqbal. And then we also, of course, have one in America where Santika and myself are located. And then we also have 2 in Surabaya, one at the US Consulate General with Husky, and then we have also one at Unair, Universitas Erlangga dengan Ambar. All right. And then we have one in Medan, also at the US consulate there with Jeffrey. And then we got one in Malang. We have Universitas Muhammadiyah with Zaki there. And then we got one in Makassar at Universitas Fajar with Chandani. And then we have, last but not least, Education USA Banda Aceh at UIN Araniri with Lilis. So you can see here that we are, practically we are everywhere. So if you live in an area where there is no Education USA, you don't have to feel worried or anything, because we are practically covering the whole country. So you can pick one from this list, or you can simply contact Santika and myself. And because again, like, we've been quite busy since working from home. It's always business as usual, but then it's really, really amazing because Santika and we love talking to new advisees. So we want to talk to you guys, and you don't have to worry about if you need to prepare anything. You can just simply come in and share with us your plan, or maybe you have any questions as basic as possible. We are here to help you. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So there are 5 steps. So again, if this is not your first time, you are pretty much familiar with this already. We covered this a couple of weeks ago, about 5 steps to US study. So we start from step 1, which is research your options. So this is where we start everything from the very basic step. Maybe you still need some convincing to study in the US. We are here. Or maybe you're still try to find out how to find the right university. We are talking that on step 1. And then once we are done with step 1, we can move on to step 2, finance your studies, because that's equally important. And that's basically what we're going to cover tonight. And then once we are also figure out how to finance your studies, we can continue to step 3, which is completing your application. This is where everything gets a bit technical, but then there are a lot of help that we provide to you guys. And one that is the most popular one is when we can actually give you a feedback and review on your essay. We covered that as well on some of our events, and next month we are going to have that one specific topic on essay, something that I always did back in America, and then I would like to continue doing that, although we have to do it digitally. And then we can also take a look at your resume or CV. We can give you some tips on the score for GRE that you may want to aim if you want to go to highly selective universities, for example, because oftentimes the universities not mention that score on their website, and a lot of things are also going on step 3. And then you're going to submit everything. And then you're going to be MIA, missing in action, for a couple of weeks, for a couple of months, because you're waiting to hear from the universities. And then you're going to hear back from the university that you get accepted. Congratulations. And then a lot of our advisors usually tell us that they already get accepted, and then the next step would be applying for your student visa. And then after that, the last step would be pre-departure orientation. That is definitely something that Santika and we really look forward to this every year. But we can't really say at the moment if you're going to have it this year because of the current situation. But please stay tuned to that, and we're going to definitely let you know if you're going to have our pre-departure orientation, which it's always open for public. It's not only for people who already get accepted. So those are just a glimpse of what we're doing. And can we go to the next slide? I'm not. Okay, so that's basically my short introduction. I'm going to give it back to Santika, and while Santika gives the presentation, I'll be very busy in the chat box talking to you guys. But keep the questions coming. We're going to answer that after Santika is done with the presentation. All right. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the chat box, and then I'll also talk to you in the Q&A, and I'm going to give it back to Santika.
Okay, thank you, Fina, for the introduction. So I look at the chat box on the right side of the PowerPoint presentation on the left, and we received quite many questions now. So I want to let you know that this whole session will be recorded, and it will be available again just in case you missed anything. Don't panic, and you can also share the link to your friends or anyone that you want, to encourage to plan their study to United States. So if you cannot find it, you can ask us, and then we can provide you the link. Okay, so I will start with the presentation for tonight's topic, scholarship opportunities to study in the United States. Okay, next slide. So I'm going to start with the very basic one. So as Fina have mentioned in the introduction and the steps, step by step to, how we guide everyone who came to us to plan their studies and go to United States for their degree, we have the 5 steps, right? And this is considered as the step 2 because you basically trying to find out what kind of funding options that you have so that you can go to United States. So this is step 2. It's very important. I used to think that you can do step 2 and 3 on same timeline, like on parallel basis. But now to think of it, when I do this research, this whole thing to present to all of you, I feel like it's quite overwhelming to find scholarship, the one that can fulfill your needs and your wants. So I would recommend you to go ahead and find a scholarship first and proceed with the step 3, which is the university later after you secure your funding, which makes more sense because then you will be more confident in applying to the university as well. All right, next slide. So start with the very basic one. You will see when you do your research, you will see a lot of terms like scholarship and fellowship, right? What are the difference? So basically, it's very hard to tell them apart, and they are both under the financial aid umbrella. So there are different types of financial aid, and scholarship or fellowship are interchangeable terms. So it means kadang mereka akan pakai kata scholarship atau fellowship, jadi bisa berganti-ganti. And then the main difference that based on my research is fellowship is more concentrated on research and a specific topic. So I can say it's more related to a certain program, and it's focused on that. So scholarship is more general and require kind of like less commitment. So fellowship usually follows with commitment, like you have to do this and that in exchange of what they support you for. So yeah, that's kind of like scholarship and fellowship differences and similarities. Okay, next. So these are the types of scholarship or fellowship. I can categorize them into 5, but some of them one scholarship can have more than one can be categorized as more than one item here that I list. So need-based, merit-based, category-based, fully funded, and partial. So what you want to focus on is basically the fully funded or the partial, which determine how much the funding that you will get and whether it will cover your whole tuition and your fees and living costs in the United States itself, as long as you are attending the program, right? So I have seen merit-based fellowship, and it's not full, right? So that's the example of when I say one scholarship or one fellowship can fall under 2 or more types here that I list. So yeah, focus on the fully funded and partial if you get confused, So fully funded means they will waive all of your tuition fee. You don't have to pay the tuition fee, and you don't have to worry about the living costs most of the time. But it really depends on how much they actually have in budget and give out to you for the in the grant. And you will have to make sure before you actually, you have to make sure that it will cover the whole thing, or you can ask like if it's not enough, what are the other opportunities that I can apply for? So those are like the backup on when you got confused whether this is fully funded or partial, then it's a good question to ask whether you will receive fees or allowance on monthly basis, or they like to call it stipend. Okay, next one. So I will cover the bachelor or the undergraduate. I know we actually have a polling, and I kind of like get too excited and forget about it. So if you guys would like to do the polling right now, and this is actually only for people in Zoom, but it's quite interesting for other people to see also where everyone has been watching this from, right? So can I ask Fina's favor to actually launch the polling? I'm so sorry.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So basically, there is no right or wrong answer for this. We just want to basically get a better idea of like who you guys are. If you want to study S1 or S2 or S3, and then where you guys are watching this from. And so we're going to give a couple of minutes. And yeah.
So yeah, I actually reminded of the polling because I'm talking about a bachelor degree and wondering if anyone here is, planning to apply for the bachelor and looking for scholarship. Otherwise, I will just skip the slide, right? Okay, first question is what degree you want to study. Second one is when do you plan to start your study? Third one is where are you currently watching this from? I know we have 1 or 2 advisee from Papua, which is amazing because it's so far away. Some in Sumatra, wow. Outside of Java, okay. Okay, last question is, have you had an advising session with EducationUSA at America Advisor before, in person or virtual? All right, I think we got 80% votes. And yeah, I think we can end the poll and share it to all of us so we can see the results.
Here you go.
Right, so we have 1 bachelor applicants here and 45 or 87% of master degree applicants, or those of you who wants to pursue S2. And then we got 10% of PhD applicants and 1 not planning to study in the United States. So yeah, we are actually here to kind of like convince all of you to try to apply to the United States. So I hope you will be convinced by the end of the session. So next question, we have fall 2021 most for the votes, which is great because we really recommend you to apply for next year and so that you have more time. And later term, we got 29%. I'm not sure. Okay. And next one, where are you currently watching from? We got mostly from Jabodetabek, and then outside of Jabodetabek, which is still in Java Island. And we have Nusa Tenggara. Wow, hi. So next one is Papua, Sumatra, and Sulawesi. Okay, this is amazing. One thing that Fina and I really like about online events is because we can reach a wider audience in the whole Indonesia and even outside of Indonesia if they're watching. So yeah, this is really cool. And the fourth one, most of you have not done advising session with Fina or me yet, or any other EducationUSA advisor. So yeah, this is kind of like Fina and my homework, Fina and I's homework to convince all of you to try to do one-on-one advising, because if you don't know where to start, it is a good place to start, and it's free anyway. So yeah, thank you, Fina, for the polls. You can close it now, and I'm going to talk real quick about the presentation.
Right.
Thank you. Okay, so because we only have 1 bachelor degree or undergraduate applicants here, but it does not mean that we don't have them also in other platforms who are watching right now. So I'm going to go really quick about it. So this one is for bachelor degree or undergrad atau S1. Unfortunately, they have very limited opportunities for bachelor or undergrad di Amerika. And it is very challenging if you are going for the need-based application, which most of the time will require CSS or FAFSA. And to be completely honest with you, that is very complicated because it's where you have to let them know your tax and then your income, your family's, financial situation and everything. Because need base is basically considering, the grant is considered on how necessary you are, like how much you can afford it and how much the remaining that you need. So, and moving on to the merit base, some university will have like a certain deadline or some deadline that states that deadline application deadline and certain date will be automatically considered for the merit based scholarship. So that is automatic when you submit your application to that university. They will automatically consider you as long as you don't exceed the deadline that they give. But some of them do not mention that, and you can try to see if they have merit-based scholarship that you can apply manually. And sometimes the deadline is not the same as their application, so you have to be careful there. Next one is the fully funded. This one is kind of like the favorite of everyone's, looking for. So unfortunately, only a few universities in the United States offer this fully funded for undergrad. Two that I can find and that a lot of people actually know for is the Wesleyan University. The scholarship name is Freeman Asian Scholarship. You can try to Google it and go to their official website and find out on their requirements and everything that you need to know before you apply. And next one is the Boston University. It's called the Trustee Scholarship. This one is when I go to the website, it's quite simple. It states you don't need CSS or FAFSA, and international student applicants are, allowed. So it's quite crystal clear that you as international student are eligible. And they also state that they give like 20 grant per year for the Trustee Scholarship. So there you go. That's your opportunity. And last but not least is the partial scholarship. So this one is, it ranges between $2,500, $1,500 per year, $2,500, $5,000, $10,000, but it's not full. It won't pay all of your tuition fee. It won't pay all of your, living costs. So it just will help. And most of the time, they will only apply to your tuition fee. So I don't think they will be much help for other things than reducing some of your tuition fee. And the types of partial scholarship that I usually see is like women's scholarship, diversity scholarship, transfer student scholarship. So those are partial, and usually it's one-time thing. And usually it does not exceed 10,000, but it really depends on the scholarship itself. All right, that's for the bachelor degree or undergrad or S1. And we are moving on to the master, and the next slide for that. Okay, so this one is our main target today. It's a master and the PhD degree. Fortunately, there are more opportunities for the master and the PhD for the United States. For fully funded, a lot of people will know LPDP or Indonesia Endowment Fund for Education in English, or Fulbright, which is managed by Aminef Indonesia. And I will talk more about LPDP and Fulbright after this slide, but I want to let you know, if you are applying for PhD, and especially if your program is focused on research, there is more possibility to get funding from the university. So this means you don't really have to apply for LPDP or Fulbright if you get the funding from the university. And usually, most of the time, it's kind of like full funding. You get stipend, which is kind of like you use for daily life necessities and other things that you need to pay for on daily life. And you don't have to pay the tuition fee, but usually you will have to, do something for them in exchange to that. So usually it's called the teaching or graduate assistantship, TA or GA. or research assistant, usually abbreviated as RA. So you can try to find these kind of opportunities from the department website or the university website officially. Or for PhD, Fina and I kind of like encourage people to kind of reach out to the professor first, get to know whether their research is aligned with what you want to do, have your research statement, CV, or resume ready just in case they are interested to know you more, so you have it ready. And usually the professor will be able to tell whether they have that kind of opportunities or funding for you if you are applying for the PhD as well. All right, so next slide. Okay, so this is for the LPDP and Fulbright, a starter for that. This is the tips to apply. So basically, you need to go to their website, the official one. LPDP is lpdp.kemenku.go.id. Fulbright is aminef.or.id, right? So for LPDP, it's a bit more complex. They have different pathways, which I will show you later. And for Fulbright, they only have one pathway, whether you are applying for master or PhD, and they have other fellowship, but that's kind of like different from what we are usually helping our advising with. And the third point I want to make is start preparing early. I wrote down here at least 1 year before. This means before the scholarship deadline. So when you say I want to apply for LPDP 2021, you need to start preparing from now. Okay, and actually from early this year. And if you say you want to apply for Fulbright next year, so you have to start this year, because when you got the grant this year, so when you, for example, if you apply last year and you got the grant this year, so it means you will go next year, right? So it's kind of like quite a long timeline here. So you want to prepare your best application, because then it will increase your chance of being more competitive to other applicants for the LPDP and the Fulbright. And the fourth one, read the FAQ, because that's where most of your question is. And a lot of questions that actually come to us, advisee or anyone who are interested to apply, come to us with a question specific of LPDP or AMINEF or Fulbright. Is actually, is in the website, is on the website in the FAQ. So you don't have to come to us and wait for our reply. You actually can find it on your own in the FAQ page. If you cannot find any of the answer in the FAQ page and it's very specific to LPDP and AMINEF, then I would recommend you to actually email them officially, so you can get a very certain answer, because EducationUSA is kind of like independent from these two institutions. So what we can do to help you is not officially from them, and we do our best, but we have limitations in this part. So yeah, I want to let you know that. Don't hesitate to email them. The fifth one is make your own list of requirements. I went to LPDP and there's a long list of what you need to submit to them, and make sure you have all of them and do your preparation a lot earlier, because if you're applying for master or PhD, most of the chances are you are already working and you have family or other things that you have to juggle on a daily basis. So making progress and making your own timeline on my sixth point here is very, very important. And lastly, I got a tip when I talked to someone in the Fulbright committee. She mentioned that you don't have to, submit it early on. So let's say the deadline for the scholarship application is February, right? Let's say, for example, deadline-nya February. So you don't want to submit, this month or next month. Even on August, it's still considered as very early. So what is recommended is submitting between, let's see, got my notes here. Submitting between November or December. So it's like 2 or 3 months before it's sufficient, and that's because a lot can happen in half year. So let's say your address, it can change, right? Your email address, your phone number. So when you submitted them early on, like half year or 8 months before the deadline, and then in January you change your phone number and it's in the documents that you submitted, and you are panicking, like you email them back and forth whether you can resubmit and everything, but that's going to be very complicated. So that's one of the thing that matters, I think, and worth sharing. I didn't think about this before actually before I talked to someone in Fulbright. And yeah, like I said, preparing and submitting is two different things. So preparing them early and submit them, just make sure you have all of them very updated and submit them like 1 or 2 months before the deadline, and that's good enough. Make sure it's your best application. And I forgot to put it on the 8th point that for Fulbright, I know there's no limitation on how many times you can apply. But for LPDP, I've heard that there are limitations, but I'm not clear on that because they keep on updating it. So you need to get the most updated information in each of the scholarship that you want to apply to. Okay, next one. Okay, so this is a very short and concise comparison between LPDP and Fulbright because both of them are full funded. So LPDP have 3 pathways: regular, affirmasi, and targeted group. Regular is just for everyone else. Affirmasi, inside affirmasi there is Indonesia bagian timur, which includes until specific area in Indonesia that they want to focus in, and also some area for the affirmasi. And then targeted group is for basically people who are in military in Indonesia, and I think police force as well. But yeah, make sure again in the website. For Fulbright, there's only one application for everyone. So regardless of your background, as long as you fit their criteria or the requirements, then you can apply. Okay. So next one is for LPDP. You can choose other countries, obviously, and for Fulbright, it's only to go to United States. So it's funded by the American government. So that's the reason why you can only choose United States. And for LPDP, it's funded by our Indonesian government. And next in line, we have LPDP. You can now, I think, apply with or without LOA. LOA is letter of acceptance from the university. And you have to choose university when you are trying to apply LPDP. And also you can check the university and the field of study that they support. There's PDF on the website, and you can just Google them, like university bidang studi LPDP, and then enter in Google, and then the first link, I think it's the PDF link. So there you go. And for Fulbright, you don't have to choose the university when you're applying. Because after you got selected as a Fulbrighter, or you got the Fulbright scholarship, the team will recommend 4 until 5 universities, depending on your profile and your field of study. So you don't have to worry about choosing the university and getting LOA first, because they will guide you to apply to the university as well. And next one is for LPDP. You have to submit the online application, and Fulbright is the hard copy. So for Fulbright, you have to print everything out and then put them in envelope and send them to the address. If you're outside of Jakarta, or if you prefer to send it with the mail, even if you're in Jakarta. So for LPDP, it's all online. You don't have to print a lot of things, I think. And last one is for both LPDP and Fulbright, you have to return to Indonesia after you finish your program that they fund you for. So I got questions like, so if I finish LPDP, can I stay in the States? So the answer is actually no, and they have a clause on that for you. So you need to read what you are applying for and be careful on the restrictions. So yeah, you have to return, and on additional, if you have you want to try working under the student visa, or applying for OPT, optional practical training, you have to get their permission first, and if they allow you to, then you can work as long as they allow you to. All right, I think I'm moving to the next slide. So how to find more? So this applies for all levels of study, mau S1, S2 atau S3. The way you find more opportunity for the scholarship is actually searching and researching, and it takes a lot of time. And we will share some websites that's quite helpful in FINA, in my opinion, after this. But this is how you search in Google. So you can just type in the university name and program and the word scholarship, and then you should choose the university website, like official website of the university, because then it's more reliable. But then you can also switch the university name to just your program name, and then your level of study, and then scholarship. So just play around with it and make sure that you bookmark or save the link that you find very useful, so you can come back to them and read them again. And then go to the university official website. This is like another way. So if you search from Google, then that's just number one, right? But if you decided to go from the university website first before the search engine, you can just go to the university website and find the financial aid or scholarship tab, or funding, the word funding, financial aid, scholarship, fellowship, how to fund your studies. So anything related to funding, most of the time is their financial aid section. So that's what you are trying to find. And then under there, usually they are categorized to, loan or undergrad or graduate. So that's where you find your specific that you want to apply for or look for. And then look at their requirements. Once you find the list of scholarship opportunities or the funding options that they give to you, you want to look at their requirements. If they mention US citizens or permanent residents or in-state, that means it's not for international students, and unfortunately we are not eligible to apply for that. So that's a very clear requirements. But if they don't mention that, and you are wondering if you as an international student are eligible or not, because it's not clear in the requirements, you can directly contact the university's email. Usually it's kind of like financial aid at universityname.edu or something like that. So it's on their website, and make sure that you introduce yourself, let them know what you're looking for, and be polite, and looking forward to hear back from them. So, and with that, I think you are letting them know that, you are looking for the opportunity. And if they have something that they don't put on their website and it matched your profile, they will let you know, because we have case like that and story like that. Okay, next slide. As promised, this is the other resources that we are going to share with you. So these are five websites, but one of them is actually an example that I'm showing you. So the first one is fundingusstudy.org. You can go there and have fun exploring, and gograd.org and efa.org. So for the nature.com/nature careers, this one is I'm I'm not confident in typing in nature.com because I don't know where that will lead me to. But if you Google nature careers, that's where you will end up. And I got that nature.com, nature careers website from one of the advisee who actually looked for a PhD opportunity from that website and got accepted and will be going to the United States soon. So I actually asked him, where did you find this opportunity? Because it's very specific, And he told me he's not really specific looking for United States, but when he go to this website and there's opportunity, he just contact the professor and they clicked and he applied and he got accepted, and that's full funding. That's for PhD, and I think nature careers also focus on more scientific fields of study. So if you are in STEM field, it's a good place to start. But I went to efa.org as well. It also quite good, so you can put in what kind of field of study or anything that you're looking for. Okay, last one is the external scholarship opportunities listed in the university website. I give you one example here is from Purdue. So I look for the graduate program scholarship opportunities, and they actually list them funding your graduate study, and they mention this is not related with the university, but you can try to go look at this list of scholarships or fellowship or foundation or anything like that. So that bullet point is only 3, but it's actually a long bullet point, and I just cropped that out. So just to show you what are the things that the university website will be able to provide you. So other than Purdue, I found other university like University of Washington also do that, and I'm guessing a lot more university also do that. So that's that. And last note for you, be careful on third-party information. You need to make sure and check their reliability before you pay for anything if they ask for any payment. You don't want to pay for something and then turns out it's not something that you want to apply for. Okay, that's that. And last slide, I think. Okay, so this is the one-on-one advising with Fina or me. So as simple as if you have questions that we cannot answer maybe today, or we don't have enough time, just in case, or you're too shy to share it here, or you just want to, start anywhere to plan your study, you can consult with us, and everything is free, like Fina mentioned. You can join us in Zoom between 1 until 9 p.m. every day. The meeting ID is 276-124-396. So for those of you who are watching in, other than Zoom and other social media platform, because we are sharing the slide, you can just screenshot this one and come back to us anytime you are ready. Or you can just email us at jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org if you feel like you don't know Fina or me and you don't want to jump in to, video chat us. But I can assure you, Fina and I are very, we both graduated in United States, so maybe our culture or, style is very open. So you can just, we try our best to be very helpful and friendly, so you don't have to be scared, and we don't judge you. So don't be, don't hesitate at all. All right, this is the end of my presentation, and we will move on to the Q&A section with Fina as well. Hi, Fina.
Hi, guys. Yeah, so I'm pretty much doing a very multitasking here while listening to your presentation. I'm also taking notes for some of the questions, and we actually have so many great questions. So Santika, if you have the Excel sheet in front of you, there are actually a couple of questions. Or do you want me to read it out loud to you?
So I will cover the green ones, and I will leave it to you on your part, right?
For the orange one, correct.
So first question from Muhammad Wicaksono in Zoom. Is Fulbright a full covered scholarship? I heard from some friends that this one is partial funding. So funny thing is, it crossed my mind to check this with someone in Fulbright, official Fulbright employees last night. And I asked her, what should I answer if someone asked me this? And voila, someone asked me. So the answer is yes, it's full funding because they will cover a lot of things for you. And that's how they categorize partial and full funding scholarships, right? So what they will cover for you is basically they put it on their website. They're very transparent and honest about it. They put in 35. Okay, let me take 35,000 for the master per year tuition and the living cost. And for PhD is 40,000 per year for research. So you were wondering if it's full funded or not, and it's full funded, but they have budget. But they will help you if you're going to a program or university that exceeds their budget. They will help their best to see what they can do for you. For example, they can request kind of like cooperation or co-funding from the university or the department that you are accepted for. So it still falls under the full funded scholarship for Fulbright because they kind of fund you if you are not from Jakarta and you're being selected for the interview process. They will pay for your transportation and plane tickets and everything like that. And if you got the Fulbright, they pay for your TOEFL IBT, they pay for your GRE. So yeah, it's considered as full funded. Okay, I will move to next question. From Christian Sukan Reborn in Facebook. Hi, I am Christine from Salatiga City. I have a question. I will apply Fulbright the first time 2023. So my question is, if when we have finished receiving the Fulbright Master Scholarship to America, we can directly apply for the same scholarship for doctoral programs at the same time? Or do we have to wait a few years before we can register? So again, this one you will have to check with Fulbright PIC later when you got the... sorry, Fina, do you have...
No, go ahead. I mean, after
Okay.
you're done, I want to add something. Yeah.
Okay, so this one you will have to check with the Fulbright committee because what happens after you got a Fulbright and then you go to US to study with the funding from Fulbright is when you graduated, you will have to go back to Indonesia. But let's say you got OPT. OPT is kind of like the internship after you get any degree in the United States. And even if you get a job under your OPT, you will still have to request permission or kind of like asking from Fulbright if they allow you to work or not, and that's for the OPT. But for PhD, I'm assuming it will be a lot longer than just the OPT or internship. So at this point, I would say I don't think that's possible to just continue the PhD, but you will have to double check with them later. And of course, good luck for your application. And then, okay, I will give it to Fina.
Yeah, just real quick, just need to clarify real quick what Santika said. So with Fulbright, because you're going to be under the J1 visa, what Santika mentioned, OPT, is actually not OPT. It's called AT, or academic training, because OPT is only for F1 students. If you have, I know it's a bit confusing. They are F1, they are J1 visa. If you have any specific questions about that, let us know and we can cover it real quick. But again, with Fulbright scholarship, technically a lot of people, like what Santika said as well, there is a 2-year home residency from Fulbright, from the J1 visa, that require you to come back to Indonesia for 2 years before you're coming back to the US. But then again, definitely, if you want to continue PhD, that's definitely something that you can ask directly to Fulbright if they allow you to do that.
Okay. So are you ready, or I have? Do you want me to go continue again?
I'm gonna just like maybe take 2 questions from people here. if you don't mind. So we got from Melika Chandra, which, by the way, you guys, thank you so much we got a lot of questions and great questions. So yeah, Melika Chandra from Zoom asked, good evening. I want to ask about what scholarship are full covered, but did not ask us to go back to Indonesia after study. So we can work in the US first to move to improve your competencies. Thank you. So technically, again, like with Fulbright, again, they are expecting you to come back after you graduated with your master's degree, because there is a 2-year home residency, meaning that you have to be in a country wherever you're from for 2 years. But we also see, at least I know one Fulbright candidate who is currently doing work under the J1 visa in the US under Fulbright scholarship as well. And it's called AT, academic training. And with LPDP, because, well, technically you can choose whether or not you want to take F1 or J1, because a lot of universities allow you to pick. And let's say you pick F1 under the LPDP. Yes, LPDP asks you to come back, of course. But again, when you go to the US, technically, under the F1 student visa, after you graduated, you are eligible to apply for an OPT. So OPT is not a working visa. You are technically still under the student visa, but they allow you to work or do an internship or what have you, even volunteering, as long as what you're doing is related to your major. And we actually see a lot of LPDP awardees who went to the US and continue doing an OPT as long as they talk to the LPDP team that, hey, I have this offer to do an internship in the US. We see no problem with that. I mean, we see a lot of our advisees actually do the OPT in the US, but then after 1 year, you will want to come back to Indonesia. And then other than that, if, Santika covered about teaching assistantship, well, that one you're also going to be under the F1 student visa, and then with that, because you're not under specific government scholarship like Fulbright and LPDP, so technically you are not tied with the government. So then the answer is definitely yes. If you get a full funding from a teaching assistant position, then you are definitely allowed to take the OPT. And then there is Vieri Wijaya. You got 4 questions here, which is a great question. Are there any Fulbright awardee that get the scholarship for Ivy League universities? The answer is yes. We actually had this session, if I'm not mistaken, sometimes last year, when we invited the whole Fulbright team, including a number of Fulbright alumni and a Fulbright candidates who are currently studying in the US, and they talked to us via Skype. And those alumni and those current students are attending, we call it the highly selective universities. So it is definitely possible, but then again, like what Santika mentioned earlier, that with Fulbright, it is technically full scholarship, but they do have a cap funding, which is $35,000 for master's degree and $40,000 dollars for PhD. But we actually see a lot of people still end up attending highly selective universities. And how can they do that? A lot of different situations. Some of them, mostly they received the rest of the funding from the university, or they found it from like outside type of source of funding. And Fulbright definitely allow you to do that as well. How good is the chance to get the Fulbright Master's Scholarship for Ivy League universities? I would definitely see a number of Fulbright candidates who came to EducationUSA at America, and when they list some of the universities, Fulbright, I think, give you 4 universities. I would see actually 1 or 2 highly selective universities, including Ivy League. So it really depends on what Fulbright came up with. But we also see a number of Fulbright candidates where they do what they call the direct application, meaning that if you have, universities that you want to try to apply, but it's not on LPDP, not on the list that being given by Fulbright, you are still allowed to, apply on your own. But then again, you need to, discuss with the Fulbright team about the funding, because Fulbright might not be able to cover the rest because that cap funding limitation that they give you. Yeah, and basically I answered your next question, how to fulfill shortfall. For example, like MIT costs $60,000 and Fulbright did provide $35,000. So that means either you want to ask, or maybe Fulbright will help you asking the MIT if they are able to, or they are willing to cover the rest, or if they don't have such funding available, you may want to actually search it from outside. Maybe one more from Muhammad Citra Ramadan. Does financial aids that cover the living stipend counted as student loan or student aid? Their wording aren't really clear on those regards. Santika mentioned a little bit about, financial aid. Yes, it can be a bit confusing. So technically, so I think I covered this a couple of days ago about, like the word financial aid, whenever you go to the US university websites, it's always there. There's like one section called financial aid, but then they have a lot of type of fundings available. So financial aid is kind of like the umbrella of everything that is related to student aid. Although in the US, whenever they heard student aid, it's mostly like student loans. And student loans are technically reserved for US citizen, but then we definitely also see a number of universities where they also have some kind of scholarship, especially for international students. So it's really like one university to another university, they have different type of funding. So in this case, and unfortunately we don't have the database on that, but I would definitely recommend you to go to one of the websites that Santika mentioned earlier, the fundingusstudy.org, because it's a really great database where you can pick if you want to study bachelor's or master's, and then you can even pick which location in the US that you want to go to, and then they will break it down from basically the universities in the US where they allow or where they offer some kind of funding for international students. So yes, it can be confusing, but for you to actually really understand whether or not they offer scholarship for international students, if you can't find it on their website, it's actually okay to contact them. All right. Okay, Santika, I'll give it back to you before I'm going to take some questions later on. Yeah.
All right, great answers. So next one, we have Febriana Lestari in Zoom. FAFSA can be proposed by the alien resident, whether or not it can be proposed by the alien resident. So technically no, but some universities will allow international students to fill in the FAFSA form for some of, when you apply the financial aid that you want to apply. So it really depends on the university. And my tips for you is you can ask them first whether, let them know, sorry, what kind of funding that you are looking for. Ask them if they need you to fill in the FAFSA or the CSS before you actually, getting confused and filling them in first. So yeah, that's the only tip I can give to you right now, because it really depends on the university itself. And next one is from Alfat Ekaliani in Facebook. I'd like to ask a question. Is there any non-governmental fully funded scholarship in the US? For example, like the fully funded campus scholarship for a bachelor degree in Boston Uni. So yeah, like I mentioned in the slide, so I mentioned two university, which is the Wesleyan University, Freeman Asian Scholarship. It's fully funded. And another one is the Boston University. It's called Trustee with double E and the N, Trustee Scholarship. So if you cannot memorize the name, you can just Google Boston University undergraduate scholarship and hit enter, and then you will get the first result of that. Very easy to find. If you still have any confusion when we give you the answer, don't be afraid to actually reach out to us and ask for a clearer answer in email form or in Zoom meeting. And next one is from Liam Hardy in YouTube. For the fully funded scholarship in Boston U, is it available for all major or only some of the major, for example, science major only or arts only? So for undergraduate, fully funded scholarship, it's kind of rare that they put in specific field of study, because then for undergrad you go in as a freshman and you don't have, most of the time you don't have to decide your major first. So it really depends on the scholarship itself, and you have to check the requirement. But when I looked at the Boston U trustee scholarship just now, I don't see any restriction on the field of study. But again, you need to make sure when you are filling in the forms and everything. So far that I read, it's not limited to science or arts only. So go ahead and take a look there. Next one is from Rio Felixio Stefanus in Zoom. Is Fulbright require work experience? So one of the notes that I got from the Fulbright official is and alumni and students who got the Fulbright scholarship is they have to be very sure on what they want to do. So their CV and resume is very, very important, and their essay is especially important, because it's where you actually show your value to the committee, whether you're worth funding or not. So work experience will be very good. And I think it's quite necessary if you're applying for scholarship, although some universities do not require working experience for their application. But for scholarship, I think you will need working experience. What do you think, Fina?
Sorry, can you say it again?
What do you think of the working experience for Fulbright?
Yeah, my understanding is they don't require you to have a working experience, but I would definitely recommend you to apply when you have a working experience, just because we're talking about probably other applicants who have work experience and you might want to compete with them. So yeah, well, but then again, technically, I don't think Fulbright put that they require you working experience on their website.
Yeah, I don't think they put that as a requirement on their website. But then when we think about how many people will apply that have, good CV and working experience and, essays, great essays and what they want to do, I think it's just fair to, make yourself better and put yourself in a better position to apply. So I would definitely recommend you to have working experience, although it's not a must. Next one will be Olivina Conita in YouTube. Hi, Ed America. How is the current situation of COVID-19 affect U.S. university application and scholarship? Is it still recommended for us to apply for 2021 or 2022 class given the global pandemic? So absolutely yes, because then they don't close any application, and you can still apply. So we totally recommend you to plan for your 2021 and 2022, and we are all hopeful that this will pass very soon. So I wouldn't compromise the future of 2021 and 2022 just because we are having this situation right now. You have a good time, plenty of time to prepare your best application, and Fina and me is here if you need anything, including reviewing your essay, and CV and resume. But keep in mind, we actually focus more on the university application instead of the scholarship. But yeah, I hope that give you a good answer on that. So yeah, they will still start. If your question is if affect U.S. university application, I don't think it will affect much on 2021 and 2022. And yeah, you should still apply for that. Okay, move on to the next question. This one is also from YouTube, from Fahadli. There are scholarship for student exchange or internship UG You grad? Okay. So
Undergraduate, I think.
yes, yeah, like global UGrad by the State of Department for the undergrad students. And I also read UGrad in aminef.or.id. Wondering if it should be the same, right? So yeah, you can go to aminef.or.id and find a global UGrad program there, and then start preparing your application. And next question from Muhammad Wicaksono. I think I answered this one in the chat, but I'm gonna say it anyway. So Muhammad Wicaksono is interested about the Fulbright budget until 40,000. Could you inform the average tuition fee of MIT whether it does not exceed? So tuition fee, you'll have to check with MIT because we don't memorize and we don't have the database on that, and they will change, on yearly basis. So and some it's kind of like not a fixed tuition fee, because then sometimes you will have this fee and that fee. So for that, you'll have to check with your department specific even, as specific as possible. And for Fulbright, it's a bit unique. So you don't have to have a acceptance letter from MIT first to be able to apply Fulbright. Whether or not you will be supported to go to Fulbright will be depending on when you got the Fulbright, and they will evaluate you and what you want to study and everything. So I would say you have to apply for the Fulbright first, and then you can find out later when they evaluate you. But yeah, having a target is good. Yeah, Fina have things to add for this.
I'm good.
Oh, you're good. Okay. All right, moving on to the next one. From Pratiwi Prameswari, may I ask, is there any reputable international foundation that provides a full scholarship for a master degree in the US? Not sure what you mean by a reputable international foundation that provides full scholarship, but I don't think we have any on top of our head right now. So I'm guessing no, because I think foundation, whether they're international or not, and if they provide scholarship, you will still have to check whether you are eligible or not to, apply for the scholarship. So yeah, focus on their criteria and whether or not you are eligible, and on how much you will get for the scholarship. And for how to look for the scholarship, I think you are referring to the website that I mentioned in the last slide. So you can try to go the website that Fina mentioned. I think it's Funding US Studies. Here you go. fundingusstudy.org, gograd.org, efa.org. So you can start looking there. Okay, next one from Gemma Puspasari in Facebook. Can I apply Fulbright for a PhD degree if I already have a PhD from other country? So, okay, it's probably not, but you can apply for a PhD directly to the university without Fulbright. So yeah, like Fina and I mentioned before, for a PhD, you don't really have to focus or rely on Fulbright or LPDP. It's because most of the university, especially if you are in the research and STEM field, they usually have funding for that, for PhD applicants, and it's full. So the tuition fee, and you get stipend, which is kind of like daily expenses. Am I right, Fina?
Yes,
okay.
Correct.
All right. So moving to the next one, Agung in Zoom. I think you attended our event before this as well. Thank you for coming back again. Excuse me, about working experience in applying, is internship one kind of it? So preferably, I think when we put work experience in CV or resume, of course, full-time job will have more impact compared to internship. You can put it in, but we do recommend you to put have full-time work experience on your CV when you're applying for scholarship like Fulbright and LPDP. Okay, this one is from US Jasmine, if I pronounced the name correctly, in Instagram. Beside Fulbright, is there any scholarship for postgraduate? So yes, if it's PhD, you can directly apply to the university. And aside from Fulbright, like I've mentioned, there is also LPDP. So go ahead and do your, research and list your options down and cross them out if they don't fit your criteria and everything like that. So yes, you can for PhD again go to the university directly, and if you can reach out to the professor and make a connection because that's quite important. Sometimes when they find that you are very suitable to help them in their research, they will choose you over other students or other applicants. And then we go to, okay, this one is kind of like my last question from Facebook, from Christian Sukan Reborn. Can I use my experience working on my church 15 years and 6 years Sunday school teacher on Fulbright scholarship application, or I must get new experience from real school? Okay, I think this one is real work experience as long as you got paid and you work full time. And teaching for 6 years is a great accomplishment, in my opinion. So you can totally put that in your CV resume and then apply for it. But wait, if it's a volunteer, then it's a different thing. As long as you receive some kind of wage or salary, it should be fine. It can be considered as work experience. But if you're talking about you volunteered for that long, it's also good, but it's under different category. It's volunteer. So yeah, you want to make sure that. Okay, I think I'll give it to Fina for some other questions here.
Sure. Yeah. So we have Sabrina Aufari here from Zoom asking about any particular tips on how a master's student can apply for a TA position. It's applicable for master's student too, right? Yes, definitely. So like what Santika mentioned earlier, there are a number of terms that the universities are using. They call it TA, teaching assistant. They call it RA, research assistant, or professor. They also call it GRA, graduate research assistant, so different terms. Sometimes they might put that position on their website, but there are also some programs where they don't put it on their website, and it's all about connection with the faculty members. So, for example, I have one advisee, a good advisee of mine, who is currently studying at University of Texas Austin, and she received a full funding from the program by asking the faculty members about it directly. So it's all about connection. And we also have heard from an alumni before where he said that that's something that you want to start going and talking to the professors and then ask that kind of position. But yeah, definitely it's possible for international students, for a master's student to apply for the position. Sometimes there are a number of Indonesians that we know that would receive the position from the beginning, so they got accepted, and then they got accepted to the university, and then they are granted the position. So from the beginning of their study, they are fully covered. But then there are also some people who they spend a semester first, but then on their second or third semester they got the position. So I hope that answered your question. And we also have Alfrey here asking from Zoom as well. Is there still any scholarship available concerning the COVID situation? I think we have a similar question about this, but the answer is we still see. I would say the answer is yes. So, for example, one of like the questions of the day is about like Fulbright scholarship, and so far with Fulbright in Indonesia for those who study in the US, they are still open for next year at least. So yeah, definitely. And let's see here. We got Bagas Budi Permana here, also from Zoom. Hi, I just want to make it clear. So if I get accepted for Fulbright, they will pay me for my TOEFL and GRE and then recommend the university for me because I thought I must take the GRE or TOEFL first to register for Fulbright programs. And does LPDP offer same benefit like this? This is a really good question. So the answer is, so with Fulbright, actually, when you are applying Fulbright for the first time, they are not required. They don't require you for any standardized tests like GRE or GMAT. They will require you to take English standardized tests, but for TOEFL, they allow you to take the ITP, the one that is paper-based and slightly more affordable than less expensive than the official TOEFL IBT. And then let's say by the time you get granted the Fulbright and then on the application process to the US universities, you will be required to retake or you need to take the TOEFL, the official TOEFL IBT, then yes, the TOEFL IBT and the GRE, and correct me if I'm wrong, Santika, but my understanding is Fulbright will cover that. If Santika may also add to that and just to confirm.
Sorry, cover which part?
The TOEFL IBT and GRE once the students got accepted by the Fulbright.
So one of the tips that I received yesterday when I was talking with the official is for the application itself for the Fulbright or any other scholarship application like LPDP as well. If you can choose the cheaper option, go ahead and choose the cheaper option like the paper-based or something like something cheaper than that, because that you will have to cover on your own. Kind of like reimburse you for that and will pay for that. So yeah, if you ask me or Fina which one to take because they give you flexibility, go ahead and choose on your preference. But if you are thinking about the financial aspect, you can choose the cheapest one, and then you will have to retake TOEFL IBT to apply to the university as well, and they will reimburse you for that.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, and then you also ask, and does LPDP offer some same benefit like this? My understanding, so Santika covered about LPDP regular, LPDP afirmasi, and then with afirmasi ada LPDP BIT and such. My understanding with LPDP regular, I don't think they are giving you this kind of benefit. But if you are under the LPDP afirmasi, because I definitely know a number of LPDP BIT, for example, from the previous year. LPDP BIT is LPDP Beasiswa Indonesia Timur, where the students who already got accepted by the LPDP actually receive some kind of full preparation courses of GRE or of TOEFL or IELTS, and then LPDP will cover the test itself. Let's see. And then in Zoom, there is someone asked me a question, but privately. Hanisa Ayu Kartika, if you're watching this, can you please copy that question and then send it publicly so that our team can put it on the Excel sheet so that it's easier for everyone else to see the question. Thank you. And then we got a question from Yuda here as well from Zoom. Hi, Santika and Fina. Can we get the practice how to write a good statement of purpose so we can know what we should include in it? Can I do it by email or one-on-one? So the good news is we're going to have the session covered next month. So please stay tuned here on via Zoom as well. So I'm going to give you a lot of tips on like the importance of the essay, how to write the statement of purpose and stuff like that. But if you also want to go ahead discussing it directly to Santika or myself, we can definitely do that. Unfortunately, we don't do offline review. Offline review meaning that you send the email and then you're expecting us to leave some comments and then send it back to you. We don't do that. But we whenever we read the essay, we need the writer, which is yourself, to be also present, so that we can also brainstorming it together. So yeah, no, if you have the draft or you want to, like just diving in right away and knowing how to write the essay, definitely go to our Zoom Zoom ID, and then we can continue discuss about this. And this is for everyone else as well. We can definitely like start. So for example, like I have a number of advisees at the moment, probably about 3 or 4 of them who are already in the process of writing, which is you guys should do it as well. If you want to study for fall 2021, there is no better time than starting it now. All right. Santika, do you want to take over?
Yep, sure. So
Yeah.
I answered some questions while Fina is answering questions verbal in the chat box. I got here. Okay, so from Elsa V in Zoom. Speaking of CV, in the working experience section, what do you advise that we need to write down? I mean, should we only mention our responsibilities or also mention that projects we've involved in and our roles? So for CV, I think it's as complete as it can get, and of course you should mention your responsibility and your projects, especially if it's accomplishment, because that's a good part. And also put them in, and we actually Fina and I actually make special info session for CV and resume. So you can, if you are interested to how to build one, then maybe you can chime into one of our future events for that. But yeah, totally put in your responsibilities and projects involved, and make sure that they look neat and easy to read. Okay, that's a short tip for you. And from Laxito, I actually replied in the chat, but Fina have things to add on that. And yeah, I think I'm done here, so Fina can take over.
All right. So what, we have 5 minutes. I'll try real quick. Hopefully there is no more answers so that we can basically answer everything. But don't worry, guys. If you have more questions, just email us or we can continue talking via Zoom tomorrow. So Laxito Purnomo is asking a good question. For PhD application, I applied to Florida State University. However, the application is handled by the admission and I am not allowed to contact the research supervisor candidate. I think we have to contact the admission office first and then the supervisor candidate. That is a really good, so I don't think this is more like a question, but more like, sharing information. Yes, so you must heard about, Santika or myself mention about when it comes to PhD, you don't have to, but it's really great if you can contact the professor first before applying. But absolutely, there are actually a number of programs, PhD programs in the US, where they are doing it just like a master's degree program, where they don't and to the point where they even mention that you don't have to contact the professor. So in this situation, I definitely see a number of advisees with similar situation as well, where the university is saying that you don't have to contact any professor, just apply to us first. But there are actually there are a lot of other PhD programs in the US where they don't mention that, and then in that case it's actually you're allowed to contact the professor, and that's the common way when it comes to PhD study in the US, where you actually build a connection first with the professor. We got one from Instagram, Nigi Kaga. I hope you're still watching. Is there any full funded short-term program? If yes, what's the name of the program and how could I get how could I get the complete info about the program? So Santika mentioned earlier about the Global U Grad. You can type it down, Global U Grad. It's by the State Department. However, the tricky part is that program is something that you are not applying to that program, but you get chosen from someone at the State Department or at the U.S. Embassy. Other than that, we don't have any information about short-term program like that.
All right.
Okay, and yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the last question is from Hanisa Ayu Kartika in Zoom. Is it okay to apply Fulbright AMINEF but already have LOA? So I replied her in chat saying, yeah, it's totally okay to apply for Fulbright even if you got LOA. because then when you got the Fulbright, as I've mentioned, they will, reassess your LOA and your preference, and they have their own recommendations. So that's when your LOA plays a big role there. So totally yes, apply for the Fulbright even if you have LOA already.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to add to that real quick, yes, you definitely allow to have an LOA, but it's not a guarantee that, again, with Fulbright there is a cap funding. It's not a guarantee that you will end up to that university. And please also take note that so for example, if you're going to apply for Fulbright for 2021 and then you already got an LOA from a university for you to start in fall 2021, you can't do that with Fulbright, because with Fulbright for 2021, it's only for people who are going to depart in 2022. So you can't leave early even though you already have the LOA. So what you can do is talk to the university and then check if they allow you to do deferral to 2022. So yeah, I hope that would be all, Santika.
Yeah. Thanks so much for adding that information, because I always imply when you apply with LOA, you will have, your timeline figured. But yeah, good note. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us today. It's been a pleasure for Fina and me. We answered so many questions. And if, we are not that clear to answer your question, or you have more questions, like I mentioned, please feel free to contact us. I put it in the chat box in Zoom. But for those of you who are in social media, and you just chime in, I want to read it for you. The Zoom ID is 276-124-396. We are available every day from 1 until 9 p.m. And our email is jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. Okay, thank you so much. I'll give it back to Jasmine.
All right, thank you so much, Santika, and thank you, Fina, for tonight's event. All right, so earlier in the event, we asked you guys, true or false, all Fulbright programs worldwide are suspended due to COVID-19. And the correct answer is false. The suspension only applies to U.S. citizens studying abroad. Foreign Fulbrighters should contact their advisors and follow the guidance from Fulbright. So shout out to Farhan Rizaldi from Facebook for answering correctly. And thank you everybody for participating tonight. Don't forget to tune in next time and you might get a chance to get a shout out from us. All right, so you may be wondering, how can I develop an awesome idea at an awesome place like this? It's really easy. Just go to our website at www.adamerica.org.id, create a program, and go to collaborate with us. All proposals coming to us will be reviewed and your event might be featured here soon. And this wraps up today's episode. I'm so sorry we have to say goodbye, but I'm sure we'll see you at the next Ad America event. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss out on our updates, and we will send them straight into your inbox. And also don't forget to follow us on our social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at AT America. All right, so I'm Jasmine, and I'll see you next time at the next Ad America TV event. Bye, everybody.